Now we will study the excretion in multicellular organisms. Multicellular organisms means which are made up of different types of cells. So there are some lower multicellular organisms like sponges, coelentrates. So in them what happens, the simple diffusion takes place as their body surface is directly in contact with water, so they exchange the material through the aquatic medium by the process of diffusion. And in some other animals which are multicellular, they are having some kind of excretory organs in them which helps in the elimination of the waste product. So this part is important for your board exam as well as for your competitive exams. Okay. Now let's take the view of platyhelminths. They are the animals which are also called as the flatworms. They have a specialized excretory organ named as flame cells. Then nematodes, they are commonly called as roundworms. They have the excretory organs called as the giant cells. Okay. Then annelids, including the earthworm, they are having the nephridia for the excretion as well as for the exchange of gases. They have moist skin. Clear? Then comes the crustaceans. Crustaceans, they are one of the arthropods which include crabs, etc. So they have green glands for their excretion. Then if we talk about the insects, again they are part of arthropods. Insects like cockroach, they are having the Malpighian tubule as their excretory organ. Next one is mollusk. Mollusk means the shelled organisms, the shelled organism which makes like if you have heard about the snail is the member of mollusk family. So that these mollusks, they have kidneys for their excretion as the different chordates they have. Chordates, we can say different vertebrates, they are also having the excretory organ like kidney. Okay, so you have to learn these excretory organs which are present in different kind of animals. So this is important part, so you have to remember all these names. Now if we focus on the excretion in human beings, so excretion in human being, it is again very elaborative process. Okay, so here we will discuss about excretion in human being, and what you have to remember firstly over here is the excretory product. The main excretory product in human being is urea. Clear? So if we talk about the excretion process for this, in the human beings also there is a well developed excretory system which helps in the excretion, which contain the pair of kidney. Kidneys, they are red bean shaped structures. Okay, and these kidneys, they are joined with the pair of ureters. Ureters, they are pipe like structures which are just coming out from the kidney, and then these ureter, they lead to a pouch like structure called as the urinary bladder. Okay, and finally urinary bladder, it opens in the form of tube called as urethra. So this I have drawn the rough diagram of the excretory system. You all are having this diagram in your book at page number 49, figure 1.33, which is including the all parts of human excretory system. So if we begin with the kidneys, kidneys, they are the most important part of the excretory system in human beings. Okay, so kidneys, they are having the bean shaped reddish brown structures which lie in the lower abdominal part. Each kidney is present on the either side of the vertebral column. Vertebral column means backbone. Backbone की दोनों side में एक एक kidney present होती है, and they are protected on the ventral side by the floating ribs. We all are familiar with the rib cage. So this kind of kidneys, these kind of organs, they are surrounded by, they are protected by the last ribs called as the floating ribs. Each kidney is about 10 centimeter long and 5 to 6 centimeter broad and 4 centimeter thick. Now it has a fissure. Fissure means a depression called as the hilum region. This depression called as the hilum region. Okay. So for the entry of the renal artery means which are taking the blood in and out from the kidney. Clear? Is that clear? So renal artery, it brings in the oxygenated blood laden with the waste product, and renal vein. So renal vein, it carries away the deoxygenated blood, but purified blood from the kidney. Clear? Now kidney has an external sheath. This is the external sheath, external covering. Then the cortex region. This is the cortex region, and the innermost region is the medulla region. Now this medulla region, it leads to the area called as the pelvis region. Okay, which give rise to ureter. Clear? So this is the structure of kidney. Clear? Now each kidney, it is having a functional unit called as the nephron. So if the question comes that name the functional unit of kidney, in actual these nephrons, they are taking participate in the excretion process. It is the site where an actual excretion is being performed. So the kidneys, they contain over 1 million of these nephrons, which is the functional unit, and they are called as urinary tubules also. So if we observe the structure of the nephron, again it is important question for your exam, that draw the structure of nephron. Nephron includes the Malpighian capsule and the renal tubule. Nephron is mainly divided into Malpighian capsule and renal tubule. Now this Malpighian capsule, it is further divided into Bowman capsule, which is cup shape, glomerulus, which is which is bunch of the capillaries, and these glomerulus, they are made up of afferent and efferent arterioles. So glomerulus along with the efferent arterioles, they form the ultrafiltration unit. We will discuss about this step in our next topic. Clear? Then comes the renal tubule part, the tubular part, tube-like structure. Renal word is always related with the kidney. So kidneys tube-like structures, they are divided into PCT, that is proximal convoluted tubule, DCT, distal convoluted tubule. Convoluted means like this. Okay, zigzag. Okay. Now loop of Henle and the collecting duct. Now we will observe the diagram. This cup-like structure, it is called as Bowman capsule, which is filled with the tuft of capillaries called as the glomerulus. There are two types of arterioles as we have discussed. The arteriole which is bringing inside the material, that is afferent, and which is taking out the material, that is called as efferent arteriole. Okay. So that was the Malpighian capsule, which include Bowman capsule and glomerulus. Now we come to the renal part. This complete part is the renal part, tubular part. So renal part is divided into proximal convoluted tubule. The meaning of proximal means the starting part. So the starting branch, starting zigzag portion is called as the proximal convoluted tubule. मैंने यहाँ पर एक ही convolution बनाई है, वैसे इस तरह से बहुत सारी convolutions हो सकती हैं. Okay. Then comes the thinner part, a hairpin like structure called as the loop of Henle. It is the middle part. And after that, again the wider area comes and the convoluted part, it start appearing. So this convoluted part is distal convoluted tubule, lateral convoluted tubule, जो बाद का part है. Okay. Now this distal convoluted tubule, it opens into the specialized tube called as the collecting duct. Now if you observe the diagram carefully, you will see that these afferent arteriole, they are covering the renal tubule part from all around. So these tuft of capillaries, they are called as peritubular capillaries, as they are covering the outer part of the tubule, that they are termed as peritubular capillaries. So mainly the exchange of waste material, it takes place between the renal tubule and these peritubular capillaries. So that was the structure of nephron that you have to remember. Now the next point that we will study is the urine formation process. Again, important part for your exam, urine formation. What are the different steps for the urine formation? Now, the urine formation includes four major steps, that are ultrafiltration, reabsorption, tubular secretion and concentration. So if we start with the ultrafiltration, it is the process. Why it is called as ultrafiltration? Ultra means very fine. Here the filtration becomes very fine under the pressure. So how that pressure is generated, we will study. This ultrafiltration, as it is occurring in the glomerulus region, that's why it is also called as the glomerular filtration. Now the efferent arterioles, they are very tight, they are very narrow. Along with the glomerulus, they put the pressure and cause the ultrafiltration of small size and small volume of the material. As the as we know that glomerulus contain the blood, including all the waste products and all the nutrients. So what happens, efferent arteriole and glomerulus, they provide pressure over the material that is present inside, and which helps in the ultrafiltration of small size materials like urea, uric acid, glucose, ions, amino acids, vitamins and water. Okay, and these all they enter to the Bowman capsule. They all enter to the Bowman capsule, and then they leave the Bowman capsule as the nephric filtrate, and the glomerulus filtration rate is 125 milliliter per minute, or we can say 180 liter per day. So this value is again important for the competitive exam. So that was the method of ultrafiltration. Ultrafiltration means very fine filtration, it takes place. So here you have seen the membranes of these filtrates, they will help in the movement of the ions, and then it will lead to the entry of these material into the Bowman capsule. Now the next step is reabsorption. Reabsorption, it occurs in proximal convoluted tubule by the peritubular capillaries and by the help of active transport. Now important nutrients plus 75% of water, it enter to the blood, and some reabsorption also occurs in the DCT part also. Clear? So as the important nutrients plus 75%, they move to the blood, that is called as reabsorption. Now the next step after reabsorption is tubular secretion. It means the waste that is left in the blood, they are poured again into the urinary tubule in the DCT part, and they will secrete the chemicals like urea, uric acid, potassium, hydronium ion, etc. Okay. Now the next step is concentration. Now this concentration is related with the nephric filtrate. The nephric filtrate, यानी जो हमारा glomerulus से filtrate आया है, it lose its 75% of water by the PCT and 10% of water from the loop of Henle. So the remaining part of the water, it is taken back to the collecting tube along with the hormone called as ADH. This ADH hormone is very important. What is the name? What is the full form of ADH? It is antidiuretic hormone, which is also commonly called as vasopressin. What it do? It narrow down the blood vessels. Okay, so when our body is having high amount of ADH, the pituitary gland, it secretes this ADH hormone. So as the pituitary gland, it secrete high amount of ADH, the concentrated urine is formed, and when there is less amount of ADH, then what happened, dilute urine is formed. Okay, now that was about the kidney and the processes that takes place in the kidney. Next part is ureter. Now kidneys, as they lead to the pipe like structure called as the ureter, so they are narrow tubes which develop from the hilum of the kidney and enter into the urinary bladder. Now urinary bladder, it was the bag like structure. Okay, so it is pear shaped bag which temporarily stores the urine and brought by the ureter. Ureter, they bring the urine into the urinary bladder where it stores the urine for some time. Now the next one is urethra. Urethra is again very important part. So in urethra, it is a tube through which the urine is eliminated, and it is guarded by a ring of muscles called as the sphincter muscles. So there is difference between the structure of urethra in males and females. Females, they are having near about 4 centimeter of urethra. Male, they are covering 20 centimeter. So in females, the urethra is the common, it is the only passage for the urine, and in the males it is the common passage for urine as well as the sperm. Is that clear? So these urethra, it is guarded by the muscles. Okay, so when these muscles they contracted, what happened, the guarded part, the ring of muscles that is guarding the opening and closing of the urethra, that will contract its muscles and it opens when the urine is voided. That sphincter, that ring of muscle, it gets open whenever there is the need to eliminate the urine. Okay, so that was about the excretory system in the human beings. I hope you all are able to understood this topic. Now what you will do, you will read this topic from your book. Thank you.